Welcome to Recruiting Intel on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Justin Wells, may get Coach Dub joining us in a little bit. Got some internet troubles to sort through, but doesn't mean we have recruiting troubles to sort through. We don't have recruiting troubles to sort through. It's a fun time to watch and learn about Texas recruiting. So make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to be talking about some 2027 top prospects here. And of course, make sure you head to InsideTexas.com as soon as I can find the right picture. There we go. Join for $1. You get the best recruiting insight. You get the best team info. You get the best community. You get the best everything. Anything you want covering the Texas Longhorns, you will find at InsideTexas.com. So come and join for just $1. And of course, we will throw in a 1-year subscription to The Athletic as well. Not going to want to miss out on that. If you have not done so yet, buy Thinking Texas Football. Paul Wadlington's book looks at every position, every player, every SEC opponent, every SEC team, every opponent, and then a look at college football in the year 2025 and some of the freshmen who will be suiting up in burnt orange this season, thanks to a look from our Eric Naleen. So go check that out. The first link in our description is one that will get you signed up for Inside Texas. The second one gets you a copy of Thinking Texas Football. So, Justin, we're at this point of the year where, most 2026s, they know where they're going. They have commitments. They may take some trips. We've talked about that a little bit with players like Derek Cooper. We know he's going to take a trip to Miami. We've talked about that with some other prospects in Texas 2026 class, but it's time to start talking a little bit about 2027 guys. And you went to Palestine, Texas, a place that's near and dear to your heart, near and dear to my heart too. And you got to talk to Palestine Westwood 2027 quarterback and point guard Kavian Bryant ahead of his scrimmage with Franklin, correct? But at this point, you may be able to remove that point guard description before too long. He's a top 100 prospect in both sports. He's he's Rivals' top quarterback prospect in the 2027 class. He's a top 100-ish player in basketball in the 2027 class. But at this point, I think he feels like his future's on the gridiron, and he told you as much.
Yeah, so when we went and saw him over the summer, basketball was talked about in a regard that playing quarterback at the next level requires your full requirement. Like, you can play multiple sports in different positions, but if you're going to focus on playing quarterback at the next level and doing it at a high level, that needs your primary attention. And I think the Bryants understand that fully. They know that. They understand that. And after talking to him and his dad, basketball is no longer going to be an option at the next level in college. And here's where it gets hairy. He's looking at enrolling early. And so he'll obviously have this season, his junior season with football, with basketball. Basketball is a big deal in his family. This is a family event. This is what they do. His father is the boys basketball coach. His mom is the girls basketball coach. His little brothers are nationally ranked basketball players. Like, this is what they do. But if he enrolls early, he's going to miss his senior year. And I think that is miss his senior year of basketball. And that is a significant choice here, because that would be like the last run with him and his dad and everything that they've kind of worked towards and built towards. Again, they see the bigger picture. They understand playing quarterback at a big-time program is going to require all of your focus. And so, to me, this is Kavian Bryant, the competitor. He's understanding more of his skill set and his role and what he's going to be able to do at the next level. Look, I watched him play number 2 Franklin. Franklin is good. Like, I told the coach before the game, I said, man, deciding to play Franklin before a scrimmage is a decision. Okay, like these guys came out, they were big, fast, and strong. I think they threw the ball like one time. They had like 8 tailbacks. Like, it was crazy. But you got to see Kavian pushed. You got to see him kind of taken out of his comfort zone and see him throwing on the run, going off platform, running. He had a nice couple scores on his feet, and then he had a nice touchdown pass on a seam to his little brother, 2029 athlete Kavian Bryant, who might be one of the best DBs in the state already. That kid was bringing hat to the Franklin tailbacks on his very first day of high school, his very first day on the varsity. I was impressed. Kavian understands the big picture. Texas and Texas Tech, I think, are the big schools. Florida State has done a great job, a really good job. They're actually going to visit Florida State that first weekend when they host Alabama, and they've done a great job. He'll be back in Texas on September 6th for the San Jose State game that we reported over the weekend, and then he'll be back, and then he'll go see Tech the next weekend. I think he thinks they're playing at Oregon State, but I need to look at it. Sure. I think he has a decision on Halloween. I think that's when the decision is coming. I think it's going to come down to Texas and Texas Tech. It's going to come down. NIL is a factor, but not that much of a factor. Actually, the path to playing time, I think, is going to be the biggest factor here. Look, they don't mind sitting. They know in this day and age, you have to sit. They just watched the number one quarterback in the class of 2023 sit for 2 years in Arch Manning. They understand. There's an assembly line to this. There's a process to it. But I think that's going to be the biggest key is just his comfortability, maybe the potential to play as early as possible. But ultimately, he wants to be developed, and he wants to play on Sundays. And I think that's what really has Texas and Sark probably a little bit ahead of everybody else.
I'm not the type of person who looks at a narrative and thinks like, yeah, that makes sense. That's why he's doing it. But and this is not to say anything about his Texas Tech interest, which goes deeper than just cash. Because let's face it, if you're going to be playing quarterback at the University of Texas, you're going to have lucrative opportunities ahead of you as well. But at the same time, do you think that there's an East Texas aspect to, watching Patrick Mahomes be Patrick Mahomes and Kavian Bryant think, okay, I could be the next East Texas guy at Tech?
He's never mentioned Patrick to me. In Palestine, you don't really hear Patrick's name. You hear Adrian Peterson's name. Yeah, that's the common guy. I think I saw a couple Peterson jerseys in the stands on Friday. I just think, look, this is a very smart, pragmatic family. They know they are raising 3 unbelievable athletes. And I think they're trying to do what's best for each athlete. And each one's going to have their own story, their own process. With Kavian, I think he's fallen in love with football. I really do. And I've seen that before. I've seen buddies grow up, huge basketball fans, get a taste of varsity football action, and then all of a sudden in their mind, they love football more. And so I think he sees that, but ultimately he's a competitor. His dad said it best. He said, Justin, when this kid stops playing 2 sports, he is going to dominate. He said he has split his time his whole life between sports, 50% basketball, 50% football. He's never gone full bore on either one. And he said the fact that he's going to concentrate and focus on one, I think is only going to raise his game. So this is not just a decision of semantics. This is a decision of what's better for him. And so that's what makes it fun. Look, this is a guy that you put him in Texas offense, a lot of fun. I think he's a lot of fun to watch. I think he can fit at most places. I think he'd be a good place. A good spot at Florida State with what they're doing. But now I don't think Mahomes, the East Texas Mahomes things has a whole lot to do with it. Obviously, the story behind that, Mahomes gave up baseball so that he could play football full time. But remember, Mahomes actually played baseball at Tech. Right. So Mahomes actually went through it. And then I believe it was 1 year later, he decided, you know what? And I think Kingsbury kind of talked him into it. Hey, looks like your future might be throwing this pigskin. So why don't you go ahead and get that done? I just think they look bigger picture. This is a family that sometimes in the evenings, they will all put their phones on the dresser or on the cabinet, and they'll all sit down and they'll read a book, 1,000 Best Ways to Become an Athlete. And they'll all talk about it. And this is what they do. Okay. They are raising unbelievable athletes. And to me, I just think they're looking at the bigger picture. And for Kavian, if he wants to play on Sundays, focusing on football is the quickest way to do that.
It's one of those things like what is fun and what's for real. And playing quarterback, with a guy like Kavian Bryant. Like, I love watching his film. I've thrown around the K word, and I know Kyler is probably the best Texas high school football quarterback maybe ever. One of the top five
that we've seen.
You know, I'm not thinking about looking way back into the 50s, so I will respect that guy still has and I can grab the Dave Campbell and know the name. No, he still has Texas rushing record. Can't remember his name, Sugarland High. I know that much, but like
Kenneth Hall.
There we go. Like, and hey, another K word. But like, you watch Kavian and you just see the way he throws the football, the way he does everything. And you know that with a football focus, the sky is just the limit for him. And I know why Florida State's involved. Like, yes, Mike Norvell knows about offense, but I also know that they're selling the Charlie Ward aspect. And who knows how much that's going to resonate. But that works with someone like Kavian, who probably looks at Charlie Ward and hears all the different things and thinks like, I could do that. But it also sounds like you said, even with a boys basketball head coach father, a girls basketball head coach mother, just kind of the expectations of that part of Palestine on him, the fact that he recognizes that football is where he can become his best self, maybe on the athletic arena. I think that's really pivotal. I think that's really important. I think that's the best route for him, but it's not my decision. It's his. But I think that no matter where he goes, whether it be Texas, Texas Tech, Florida State, anywhere else, he's going to be special. Like, he seems like the type of kid you root for in almost any jersey he wears.
He's also a big kid. He's gotten a little bit bigger. Look, Dad is 6'6". These boys are not done growing by any stretch. He's already at about 6'3", 190 pounds. Like, Kavian is well built. He's a big kid. And so, to me, the biggest thing was watching him pass. I thought he did real well. Little too much juice on the first few passes. Then he got comfortable and he starts hitting the intermediate stuff. Then he hit a deep one to his brother, and it just looks like fun. Like, no matter what, like, I'm gonna enjoy covering him because he is going to give defensive coordinators in East Texas hell for the next 2 years. And this is a guy that you're gonna enjoy coming in and popping in and seeing as well. Just a fun family that they love competing. They've been a great group to get to know, and I'm thankful that they've let me.
Well, we'll just all have to meet at Little Mexico, you know?
Possibly. We could do that.
And I know about 10 people understand that. 10 people understand that reference, and 2 of them are right here, and one of them may be in that room right behind me. So it's
those enchiladas hit pretty hard.
Exactly. Hey, before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor, that is Roback. There's only one way to describe Roback: best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Roback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Roback has released so many items within their new licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs and clean hoodie and Q-zip designs from some of your favorite schools like Texas, is definitely worth checking out. Nobody else on the market is pairing these level of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Roback's everyday shorts or their Delta Performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. Both are super comfortable, have an elastic waistband, and great fabric that's made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Roback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars like Quinn Ewers. They are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. Use the code TEXAS20 on roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's RHOBACK.com and 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with TEXAS20. All right, Justin, we talked about 2027 top.
No, hey, real quick. Can we ask Sweet and Low Papa what he's talking about? Who was it this time? Justin, lay it on us, Jay. Come back to us. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. He had that question when we opened up the show, and so I'm curious. I don't want to miss any of it from our big time viewers, but yeah, I'm just curious, Sweet and Low Papa, like what this is in reference to.
And this is a good time to go through some of the other questions.
Yeah, there's a few of these.
Yeah, Victor Santiago, a lot of running back questions. Do we have to worry about Miami with Cooper?
Yes,
I don't know. It's so hard giving like black and white answers. Be like, yes. and then everybody would be like,
Yeah.
crazy. But like,
and then you say no, and he shows up on campus.
Like you've already reported, he plans to take a visit to Miami. He's from Hollywood, Florida. He's from like literally less than an hour away from Coral Gables, from Hard Rock Stadium where they play.
Yeah.
That's his neighborhood. That's where he's from. Like, we also know Miami's not afraid to be bold with NIL. Like Texas isn't afraid to be bold with NIL. But the hope here is that good seasons from guys like CJ Baxter and Trey Wisner, good seasons running the football, influence from Chad Scott, all those different things, plus what Texas has done to try to get him into the fold is enough to keep him away from the hometown team. I'm not going to say, like, do we have anything to worry about? No. Do we have anything to worry about? Yes. But it's just one of those things where you have to recruit these types of players through the whistle.
Just here, it's simplistic with Derek Cooper. Miami's not going to stop until signing day. They've been on him over 2 years. The entire staff recruits him. Like you said, Joe, very eloquently, he's right down the road. He actually called Chad Scott and Sark before he scheduled this Miami trip to let them know if Miami wants to get in this recruitment, like really jump back into it and potentially flip Cooper, they've got to come correct with NIL. It's nowhere close to Texas' offer right now. As long as there's that gap, you don't have anything to worry about. He's still going to take visits. He's an out-of-state commit. Understand those things. But NIL is a factor in this recruitment, and Miami is nowhere close to Texas right now.
This one from Manuel Soto. With Savion Hyter committing Michigan, was Texas interested in him? Was Cooper more of a running back that fits with Texas? Savion Hyter is really good. I just don't think there was ever that much traction, especially after Tashard Choice left. But I think him and Cooper are probably a little bit similar. They're both just damn good running backs.
Yeah, well, Hyder's probably more of your natural running back, whereas Cooper is more of your natural football player. You know, Hyder can run on behind any line. You know, he's going to help Michigan big time. Cooper plays linebacker as much as he plays running back. Cooper is the hammer as much as he is the nail. And so they're different styles. But I'll say this. Watching Derek Cooper's first game last weekend, holy moly. We saw some burst and explosiveness I didn't see on film before last Friday. And so, yeah, Texas, I think, flirted with him. Chad Scott never got into this. I think Tashard Choice may have reached out at some point just to kind of kick the tires. This was leaning Tennessee for the longest. But Michigan came in late and scooped up. But no, Texas wasn't. They weren't kicking the tires here. Let's throw this to Victor real quick so I can knock this one out too, because we're talking running backs in 2026, baby.
Yeah, KJ Edwards expected to visit Texas for a game. Is he still interested, or is he just playing the game with trying to get a bigger NIL payment?
Victor, I can tell you right now, I do not think KJ Edwards is going to visit Texas. I do not think he's going to see campus. I think he is going to visit LSU. And I don't think they're going for a bigger bag. I don't think that's this family's MO. But they are going to still look around. Look, he's solid to A&M, and I think he winds up signing with Texas A&M. But this is a one running back class for Texas. Derek Cooper is that one running back. Texas fans need to know that, because people close to the program want Texas fans to understand that. Derek Cooper is numero uno. They're only taking one. They'll take a pair in 2027, and we'll get to that in the next few months. But KJ Edwards, I do not expect him on campus at Texas for any game this year. He might try to pop in for the A&M game, on A&M's dime in late November. That would kind of actually be kind of a cool game to go see, But no, I do not expect KJ on campus. Derek Cooper is the man for this staff, and it's going to stay that way. And that's the segue I need, because here is the man on our staff. That's that guy, Coach Williams.
What is going on, man? I just had to up my NIL offer to AT&T, man, for it to work, dude.
Oh, my God. I'm going to start saying that around, like, just on casual stuff. It's like, how did I get my tank of gas? I had to up my NIL offer.
Coach, we just got a bunch of 2026 talking about running backs. We also talked about Kavian Bryant. Before we jump into John Meredith and the O-line post that you had today that we need to go over, tell me one quick minute. Tell me what you think about Kavian Bryant. Make Joe blush.
he's that dude. He has the it factor like that most people don't have. Is his throwing motion the best or whatever? No, but he's just a dude. Like he's a winner. That's all I'm gonna say. He's a winner. How about that?
I love it. And I think that's true. And that's what you expect from a 4A quarterback. You get the good, you get some of the bad. You coach.
I think it's 3A.
Are they 3A?
I think it's 3A.
That's no reason for that to be a 2 high school town.
No, there is no reason there should be 2 high schools in that town. And you know what? They don't play each other anymore. They hate each other so much. Palestine had beat on them for years and years. Then Westwood started bringing the belt back the last couple of years. Palestine said, I'm done. We're done. No more games. Westwood's like, okay.
Again, we can all just meet at Little Mexico and sort things out. Charlie, we got to talk a little bit about, we talked about probably Texas' top target on offense, maybe in 2027. Got to talk about maybe their top target on defense in 2027. That's John Meredith. You got to see a little bit of him in action over the course of the past week. And hey, this is my recruiting crush. We can talk about Kennedy Brown. We will talk about Kennedy Brown. But when it comes to defensive players in Texas and maybe overall players in Texas, you might be looking at the best one on your screen right now.
Look, definitely, man. I love this kid. As Justin said, he's wiry, man, but he's not afraid to come down and put his pads on somebody, for a thin guy. But man, he's one that he's really, really smart. He really tries to bait the quarterback. Plays a lot of games with the receivers at the line of scrimmage. Got to watch him, scrimmage North Crowley this past Thursday, and so I was watching him versus a 2028 guy who might be the number 1 receiver in the 2028 class, and Demarion Mays. And Demarion got him on 1 touchdown, and Meredith kind of gave up on the play because he thought it was over. Rather than that, he let him know, "Oh, you're not getting another catch. You're not getting another catch." And they didn't throw his way because it was like blanket. It was an island over there, and so man, this kid is absolutely real. He has tremendous makeup speed. I think he intentionally sometimes lets the receiver get ahead of him so he can get the ball thrown his way. Like he's that good. And we saw him a few times. I saw him a few times. Like I said, make plays that he shouldn't even been in the area, but he just reads route concepts so well and goes to make a play on the ball. So he's just a rare guy for that size and his speed, man. It's just unreal.
Meredith reminds me of a saying from the movie Fight Club when they're talking and they ask him, who would you rather fight, a big guy or a skinny guy? And they all of them said, man, we'd rather fight a big guy. Why? He said, because the skinny guy will fight you till they are burger. Like they will fight you to the tooth, to the nail. That's John Meredith. Yeah. He is skinny, but his mindset is all canine. And he has a very aggressive disposition. Like kids like John Meredith play corner. They don't play anything else. They were built and born to do that. And I think he has the frame and the mindset. That's why he's the number 1 target for Texas at cornerback for 2027. That's why he's a ginormous priority. And that's another reason our Charlie Williams went and hung out with him Thursday.
Yeah, man.
Charlie, help me out on this. Like when I see high school corners play butt to the sideline, like I know that's probably a coaching point just to be like, okay, we're playing cover 4, get to cover 4. But at the same time, the fact that he makes so many plays, even butt to the sideline, like you see on the screen, that means he has some good instincts too.
Amen.
Hey, definitely. Look, I know he's training real well. He's trained a few of the guys. Went on to the NFL, and Christian Gonzalez, a whole ton of here in the DFW area. But his name got Flight, and so he works on it. Meredith works on different techniques, but one particular clip I even posted on Twitter, he had butt to the sideline. He used it to squeeze the man, to the boundary. He had no room for a back shoulder fade. He's like, yeah, you had no room left, huh? Like he understood exactly what he was doing using the technique. And so most kids and most coaches teach it because they don't want to get beat deep and like play butt to the sideline, shuffle and run. But this kid understands and he can mix it up depending on who he's playing or down in distance.
Yeah, nobody in recruiting gives us that, Joe. Nobody in recruiting notices that stuff except for coach. Nobody.
And I know it's like very much like high school player, like don't mess it up. But you can do a lot with that too. And you can tell that he does a lot with that. And probably one of the most exciting defensive players. But we got to go real quick before we get out of here to the offensive side of the ball. Coach, 2027 offensive linemen, you came up with 6 names to know.
They're
came
beautiful.
up with some within the state of Texas, some from outside the state of Texas. We got to start with maybe the number 1 overall player in the country, Kennedy Brown, and the Kelvin Banks comp is tough, but he's from that part of Houston.
They look similar, Joe.
They
They have a
look
very
similar.
similar body.
They do similar
Kennedy's
stuff.
hands are bigger. Kennedy's hands are bigger.
This may be one of those guys who sees Kelvin Banks, sees himself, and thinks, okay, maybe this is the next place for me to do the same thing number 78 did.
Right. And he'll be right. Look, I love this kid. He's elite. I think, like I said, my hand is still recovering from him shaking it on junior day. Like, this is once he puts those mitts on you, it's over completely. And so I absolutely love Kennedy Brown. That's why he's first on the list to talk about. He's number one offensive tackle in the nation for a reason. The number one player in the class is an overall prospect for a reason. I think he's the cornerstone recruit of this class. I would, you don't want to say must get, but I feel like this kid is that must get prospect on the offensive line in the 2027 class.
Curious to see him play left tackle this season. I want him to say, because he's been on the right side for 2 years. I want to see what he looks like on the left.
Going forward, someone you wrote about just the other day, that's Brian Swanson from South Oak Cliff. Been on Texas radar for a while. Basically, all these guys have been on Texas radar for a good while, but they're coming more and more into prominence. South Oak Cliff been a championship program over the past couple of years, and going from sophomore to junior and even a little bit as a freshman, Swanson was somebody who was getting a lot of action for the Golden Bears.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and when I went to practice in the spring, they line him up at tackle, they line him up at guard. He moves around a ton, but he's just so familiar with the program and the way Coach Kyle Flood teaches and coaches, right? Because people he trains with plays on the team, and DJ Campbell, Andre Kojo, Devin and Jordan Coleman are there now. And so he gets a lot of feedback about Texas. He absolutely loved it when he camped there last summer and when he earned the offer. And so he's really, really close to the program, and he loves the fact that Texas has made him a priority in his class and makes him feel wanted. And they've been recruiting one of the longest out of all teams.
We talked a little bit about Kennedy Brown. Definitely, you said Justin right tackle. Want to see him at left tackle. Still kind of growing a little bit, as you would expect 16 to 17-year-olds to do. Swanson's going to be a tackle. It feels like Kennedy Brown's going to be a tackle. As we get to our next guy, Justin, do you think that he makes that tackle cutoff? Is that where he's playing at the next level, or when do we start talking about maybe somebody getting in on the interior?
Well, that's the thing, Kamara, and he's actually slimmed down. I got a text message earlier. He is 323 now. Like, the boy he's doing standing back flips at 6'6", 323. Like, I've never seen that before. He's rated as number 3 interior O-lineman in the country by Rivals, but here's the key. Every college coach he talks to says tackle. Yeah. Kyle Flood is adamant. Kyle Flood has even told him, you can play some left tackle. Kennedy Brown can play some right tackle. Y'all can switch up. You're a tackle. If Kyle Flood says you're a tackle, by God, you're an offensive tackle. And so that's Kamara right now. So another real quick thing about Kamara, he gets his first varsity action soon. Georgia came correct yesterday, guys. I knew this was going to happen. Georgia offered him a scholarship. They're in the mix. Georgia, one of Georgia's old coaches and trainers, is really close to Kamara's family. And so the Georgia Bulldogs have now inserted themselves. I was talking to one of our guys in the On3 Network, Jake Rouse, yesterday. I said, buddy, this is a fun story to write. There's a lot of cool stuff. He hits me back. He does judo too? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
He will hurt. You should see his hands, the way his martial arts with his hands. This kid is built in a lab. And he's an offensive tackle, Joe. He may have the body. Look, I think he'll tell you this. I'll play all 5 spots. You want me to play center? He goes, I'll play center. I don't care where you put me where I need to go. But every college coach he talks to talks about offensive tackle. And I just don't see it any other way. I think he's versatile enough to slide inside, but you're a tackle until you're a guard.
Right.
With you there. Keep on going. More quick hitters. Caden Scott. Coach, 6'7", 285. Hard not to see tackle again, man. We keep talking about
the 2027
class and how talented it can be. This looks like a great O-line class, and if we're getting down to this next player in this list still being a tackle, like there's a lot of options here for Texas.
Yeah, definitely. This guy's been on the campus a few times, been right down the road in San Antonio, right? So how many kids they get from San Antonio 210 area code? I'm not sure, but this is one you want, right? I think he's high on the board, man. Phenomenal kid. finally, I feel like growing into his 6'7" frame. I think that's the biggest thing, man. And so I actually love this kid too. Another kid that can play tackle, left or right. I mean, I know in the previous classes you had a bunch of guards. Like, I feel like this class is just full of tackles, man.
Also with Caden, he has a great family. He has a great little circle. I actually caught up with his mom the other day, and she says Texas makes them feel so important. And she says right now she knows it's early, but that's the best thing in the world for her son. It gives him confidence. She said, like, she notices that confidence is instilled when these college coaches call. I think that is key. He has a great family circle around him.
And Coach, one of the things, San Antonio Roosevelt, I know it's a well-populated high school. I don't know where exactly it is, to be honest, because
somewhere in San Antonio.
It's somewhere in San Antonio. I know most of the high schools named after Supreme Court justices are on the north side. I don't think Teddy Roosevelt or Franklin Roosevelt was a Supreme Court justice, so I don't know where exactly that is.
Where's Clarence Thomas High? That's what I want to know.
Hey, there's a Sotomayor High, so maybe there's somewhere in the timeline. That's all to say. I don't hear a bunch of Roosevelt kids. He may be the best player on his team. What does it mean just to say and see that Caden Scott is here doing this type of thing here in his 2027 class?
I think it's big when you can make a name out for yourself at a school that's not known for a pipeline of producing kids to go to the college level. Like, it's okay. Be the first, right? I mean, you can't miss him, first of all, right? He's the first person to get off the bus, and you're like, oh, man, they got a team over there. But I think it's huge when you can be the foundation of saying, hey, I'm one of the first to come out of this school and make it. Maybe you bring attention to the school going forward. So I love it, man. You should, I love the fact that you're coming from a school that's not well known, right? I mean, you're making a name for yourself on the field versus anything else.
Texas got the best kid in San Antonio last year, Michael Terry III. They can do the exact same thing in 2027 with Caden Scott.
And, hey, it's not just Caden Scott. There's some talent at Cibolo Steel. There's some talent.
Eli Johnson, Daddy.
Eli Johnson.
There we go.
Talent, in South San Antonio. Like, there are a lot of great players in the 2-1-0 these days.
I think it's cycling back up, too.
Yeah. It's
kind of consistent. I know.
It's one of those things where and this may be bad because I view it from a loftier altitude, but like if I see Cibolo Steel cycling up, I kind of feel like everybody else is cycling up. And that may be true, maybe not true, but if Cibolo Steel's got some players on them, and they do this year, not just in 2027, but in 2026 too, I feel like there's stuff going on all over the 2-1-0. Real quick, Deshae, I got to say thank you to you. Thank you for tuning in. But man,
hit me up, Deshae. He's doing a lot of great work with high school receivers. He's been doing some work with some college guys. Hit up Deshae anytime you need it. Deshae, hit me up whenever you need it.
Two more guys to talk about. One from
this is the one I'm not familiar with. Lay this on me, Coach.
So Jackson Academy. I do know a little bit about that private school in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
And I think that kind of means they can pull a little bit from all over the state of Mississippi as it pertains to, okay, you want to get the good football player? Come on, we'll give you an opportunity. Give you an opportunity at private school education.
Is what it is. Like Grayson in Georgia. That's what it sounds like.
But still, at the same time, 6'5", 265 from Mississippi, playing within Jackson. What do you know a little bit about him as Texas tries to maybe add some offensive guys from Mississippi instead of just defensive guys from the Deep South?
Yeah, Austin, Texas has been in the SIP, still a few kids, and why not go to the offensive side of the ball? But the fact he came from Mississippi to Austin and earned an offer during camp means he wanted to come out and check Texas out. So that's huge when you come down here on your own dime and come from Mississippi. So Texas has a footprint there. Maybe he was like, you know what, why not me? He came and earned an offer. I know in one of the interviews, he said he can't wait to come back this fall and take a visit. And so, he's one of the highly rated tackles in his class. Does he stick at tackle? I don't know. He has the frame, he has longer arms, but, the weight's not quite there, 265. But, just another guy that Coach Kyle Flood is out there monitoring. I'm sure Kenny Baker's like, hey, you need to come to the SIP and get you some guys out the trenches from there. So most of these guys are from Texas, but that's the one that's out of state that was intriguing to me.
And you know what? The thing with when the number 17 overall prospect comes to your school on their own dime to earn an offer, that's rare. Usually by that time they have every offer they want. They've been lauded. They've been told how great they are. For that kid to have that type of mindset, that's very mature.
last but not least, Anna High School, Peyton Miller. I guess that's technically North Texas.
Yeah.
I'll ask the mayor of East Texas there because he's north of McKinney. That's definitely kind of getting into the North Texas part.
There's your center.
I was about to say feels like we found the interior lineman, right, Justin?
Yeah, we did. And this, I believe we watched him last year at the state championship, Charlie, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we got to watch him. I saw him in person a few times against a few teams throughout. So yeah, he's
where do you see him? Because he obviously plays tackle at Anna, but he's really athletic and really cerebral. Do you think this is the center tape for this class? And if so, you've caught up with him a little more than I have. Kind of where is this recruitment at? Because I need to catch up with him.
Yeah, definitely. I project him playing inside guard or center. I think he's cerebral, smart kid, man, versatile. He can move up and down the line. I think you got your next center from Northeast. I know you've been to Prosper and got one. Now you go a little bit north of that or east of that.
Richland for Daniel Cruz. At least keep it in the region.
And so, but yeah, I mean, I like Peyton Miller what he brings to the table. I don't think he's a tackle whatever. I think he's your center in his class totally.
Justin, as you look more and more, is there something to follow with North Texas and North DFW? As we lose Charlie, anything to see with North Texas? Maybe North DFW O linemen maybe being the interior guys for all these Texas classes, or is it just a little bit of coincidence?
Hey, when it rains, it pours, and the clouds are coming in 2027 when it comes to offensive tackles. That's a great question because we've said the same thing about offensive guards in the last few cycles. It seemed to be an abundance of those rather than the other. Look, the best thing about 2027 in state is Texas needs offensive tackles. Look up and down the roster. There is not a position in Texas program right now that really needs that much depth except for offensive tackle. And so it just so happens that the in-state crop is dynamic and wonderful. And, you're going to have to find a guard. Look, Peyton Miller can play guard and can also play guard. Kamara, like I said, can play guard. If you were to get a Kennedy Brown and a Caden Scott, Kamara is the type of kid, he's not going to get his feelings hurt if you say, all right, can you play left guard for us right now? And then because he wants to play. He wants to compete. Now, he likes to have that offensive tackle designation, but that's where schools are recruiting him. But look at his size, look at his athleticism, look at his ability. He can play inside too. So I think you could round it out. You got 4 tackles in this class. 2 of them could be guards. 1 of them could be a center. To me, that is almost ideal for Kyle Flood because we've seen how much Texas has gone out of state for some of these guys in the last couple of cycles. They don't have to this year. And this next class, they don't have to. Everybody is kind of there. So it's just an abundance of tackles, but that's good because the Texas football program needs an influx of some of those guys.
Yeah, these guys aren't going to solve immediate problems because they're not going to show up until 2027. But it doesn't matter. You need tackles. You need guards. You need centers. You need to address every position within your offensive line in order to make sure that you're not having to pay up in the portal. And maybe we'll see Texas do that. One more. This has got to be a good one for Sugar Daddy. Last time you made it down to the Valley to check out some Gridiron Monsters, and I'm trying to think.
Is UT Permian Basin down there?
Say again?
Is UT Permian Basin down there?
No, they're in Odessa. RGV is in RGV.
There we go. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
It's in Brownsville, essentially. They're starting up FCS football.
Right.
And that's going to be a lot of fun.
Travis Bush, I think, is the coach. He was a former Sam Houston State coach.
And I can't remember the last big prospect from RGV. I know they have a lot
big
of
prospect. I'm trying to remember a prospect.
I know, but I know they have a lot.
There's tons of baseball down there.
Yes.
Very, very. The closer you get to Corpus Christi, the more that thing turns into a baseball mecca.
Right.
Okay. UTRJ. Yeah.
So UT Brownsville, UT Pan American, the Bronx, and I can't remember.
Well, I asked Pan American because no, not Permian Basin. I played Pan American in college, UT Pan American. They had a left-hander, Brian Merriweather, that led the country in scoring and rebounding. And that was like a 16-hour bus drive. It was miserable. And so is Kyle Money from the Rio Grande area? No way.
He's from a Catholic school in South Texas. I think it may have been like Brownsville, St. Joseph, something like that.
I cannot believe. Hey, There's your guy right there.
That might be it. Hey, it is pretty cool to see some the Valley. We know the Valley loves football. The Valley's not producing talent, but at the same time, they're going to find some guys who come home and play or put on for the hometown or home region and play, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see. And I'm excited to watch them. Maybe someday Texas plays them in a home and not a home and home, but in a home game. I love when Texas plays system schools. I would love to cover some more kids from the Valley. Not a ton, unfortunately. But hey, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be me because I got to head down 35 and 37. I don't know if that'll be you. Always a lot of fun.
I got to go more towards the SEC region. I have to live
exactly.
in Alabama, Mississippi's, and Georgia's.
Real quick for the loyal watchers, because you're here to the end. Dia Bell, Hayward Howard in the Superdome. How excited are you for that?
I was excited before you told me about the Superdome. Now I'm really excited. The last time I've been in that building was when Texas beat Georgia. And Bevo almost clipped me with his horn when he was going after Uga. It was a memorable night. I'm excited, man. I'm excited because one, I get to see Dia Bell play football in person. I've seen him do everything else except play football in person. I'm excited for that. Hayward Howard Jr., corner commit for Texas. I think that's going to be a fun back and forth. I think it's going to be an awesome photo moment. I think we're going to get some good videos, some good content. I'm ready to get back to New Orleans for that.
You're right. A home and home would be unique. I don't think it's going to happen. I like when Texas baseball goes down there and plays in the Valley, but and Texas basketball even went down there. I think they played. No, they definitely played a regular season game against UTRGV. Football game probably ain't happening. Unless they go to Monterey, and they're not going to Monterey, which,
I was like, don't give CDC any ideas, Joe.
No, these are Big 12
you start
ideas.
Floating these exotic destination games, and dollar signs start trickling in his mind. And before you know it, we got to get a freaking passport.
These are Big 12 ideas. These aren't SEC ideas. But to keep up with everything Texas Longhorns recruiting, football, basketball, baseball, SEC, college football, everything, you got to head to Inside Texas. Join for $1. The best Longhorns community, the best Longhorns intel, and we will throw in a free year of access to the Athletic. That is the first link in our bio. Please go check that out. Also, check out Paul Wadlington's Stinking Texas Football. That is also in our bio, in our description. Every position, every player, every member of the SEC, every team on Texas schedule, and a look at the Texas 2025 class, including 2025 true freshman All-American Grayson Littleton. On3 came out with that today. I think we gave him a little tip on that one. There's a lot of good corners. There aren't very many good freshman stars, and I think that he earned the bill because of that. We'll take a little bit of credit on that one. You'll read about Littleton. You'll read about KJ Lacey. You'll read about James Simon. You'll read about Ricky Stewart. You'll read about so many different players in the 2025 class, thanks to Eric Nolene. And you'll read about every player in the class, thanks to Paul Wadlington. So go check that out. That is in our description as well. Justin, thank you so much. Hopefully AT&T gets things fixed for Charlie. We appreciate him joining, and we'll see you next time on Recruiting Intel on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.